Really, Baltimore? Y'all really gonna make me do this? Oh boy. Ravens flock, I am sorry to say, but I have to keep it real about our team. When it comes to the receiving position, let's be honest, no free agent receiver wants to come to Baltimore. These receivers are avoiding Baltimore like the plague. For the 1,000th time, we hear a situation in free agency where the Ravens are targeting trying to pick up a receiver. They're interested in getting this guy. They've had a conversation with them just to have that guy sign with another team. It's happened year in and year out. Off season after off season after off season. Receivers don't want to come to Baltimore. And in the past, when we looked at that situation, a lot of it was because many people did not exactly look at Baltimore to be an offensive team at all. In fact, we've never really been a high-scoring team. That started with Lamar. When we had Flacco, we were never a high-scoring team. We were basically doing what we do now. You know, this franchise has always been built on defense and the run game. So with Flacco, that's what we did. Occasionally, we would be throwing the ball with Flacco, but it was usually towards our tight ends. And occasionally, Flacco would take a deep shot downfield to our receiver to hopefully, get a pass interference call. But it's not like we've really been an organization that's utilized or found the receiver position to be very, impactful or useful. Hell, the guys that we've gotten in free agency, the guys that have been useful and vital, over time, we got rid of them. To this day, I still don't understand how this team got rid of Anquan Boldin after everything he did for us in that Super Bowl run. But that's just the type of franchise we are. They don't value the receiver position. So every time we see them involved in the trade or trying to trade for a guy, we always hear that they're interested, but they're never able to pull the trigger. It's sad. But what makes it worse is that receivers don't want to come here. And that's really the kicker. It's one thing if the Ravens aren't able to trade for a receiver or they're just not pulling the trigger because they don't value that position as much as they value other positions. That's fine. It is what it is. This is how the franchise has always been. But now, in this era, in the Lamar Jackson era, the fact that receivers don't want to come to Baltimore is a glaring statement. That is a glaring statement. This is not a Flacco situation. It's not with the way we play in some cases, because back then it's like, well, we just run the football. We don't really do anything special on offense, so we don't do anything interesting on offense. You have one of the most electrifying quarterbacks in the league. This guy won an MVP. He was first team All-Pro. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He's one of the best players in the game, one of the best quarterbacks in the game. He's a bona fide star. You got players, coaches, and people all around the NFL that praise what this young man does. Yet receivers don't want to come and play here? That is a glaring statement. Not on Lamar Jackson, but on the Ravens organization. And it starts with one man, Greg Roman. More so his system. Okay, let's be honest. No receiver wants to come to Baltimore just to do all that damn blocking. Receivers make their livelihood by catching the football. If you want to break out, if you want to be that guy, if you want to put up those numbers, if you want to be seen as, an all-pro receiver, Baltimore is not where you're going to come because they don't value that position. They don't. And that's why all these receivers are avoiding us like the plague. Every time, every single offseason, the Ravens are interested in getting this guy, and the Ravens are interested in picking up this guy. They may be able to pick up this guy. They may be able to pick up that guy. And it's always the Ravens are interested, and then he gets signed somewhere else, and the Ravens were competitive in getting him, but they never pull the trigger and they never get him. Guys don't want to come here. In some cases, you got receivers that use our team as leverage to get themselves to another team. Like, when it comes to the receiving position, especially in free agency, we're a joke. Receivers don't want to come here. Nobody, if you're a receiver and you want to make a name for yourself, Baltimore is the last place you want to go. Even though they've got an MVP quarterback, nobody wants to play in Greg Roman's system. Why would you want to be a receiver and you have to do all that damn blocking? You didn't become a receiver just to block. You want to make a name for yourself. And it's not going to happen in Greg Roman's system. It's not. It's really not. Hell, that's a big part of why Hollywood wanted a trade. Because despite the only reason he was getting those targets, it came out too. Like, he wanted to be gone after, the second year? But Lamar was like, man, we can make this work. And you saw Lamar, especially this year, he was force-feeding the hell out of the ball to Hollywood. So many passes and so many targets he was throwing to Hollywood. Some of them good, some of them bad. He was force-feeding the hell out of the ball to Hollywood just to try and satisfy him. But like Hollywood said, it's not about the targets. It's about the system he's in. Nobody wants to do all that damn blocking. And Hollywood Brown is a small receiver. Of course him. He would not want to do all that damn blocking. So what makes you think other receivers want to do that? Especially the top tier receivers. You think a guy like a DeAndre Hopkins wants to come to Baltimore just to do all that damn blocking? Of course he's not a free agent. I'm just using an example. You think all these top tier guys, you think a Cooper Kupp would want to come to Baltimore to do all that damn blocking? Or would he rather stay in LA where he's shining? You think an Allen Robinson would rather come to Baltimore to do all that damn blocking? Sometimes receivers want to put up numbers. Even if they're not in a good situation, sometimes they just want to put up their numbers. And that's not going to happen in Baltimore. That and the fact that Baltimore does not pay their receivers top dollar. They don't. The money a receiver deserves, Baltimore's not willing to pay for that. They'll be willing to pay for that for a defensive player because that's a position they value. But a receiver, they're not paying a receiver $20 million because Baltimore already knows they don't value that position like that. And they're not going to utilize a receiver like that. So they're not paying a receiver $20 million. And the fans are okay with it. The fans are okay with it. Like, there's no point in paying him $20 million. Especially with the system we work in. As long as Greg Roman's here, no receiver is going to want to come to Baltimore. I'm sorry. And, you know, we get people that were, after the whole Landry situation ended with him going to the Saints, some people were like, oh, man, we might end up with T.Y. Hilton. And some of the Ravens flock were like, man, we don't want T.Y. Hilton. And I'm looking at that, I'm just laughing and thinking to myself, you think T.Y. Hilton wants to come here? He already didn't want to come here last year. What makes you think he wants to come here this year? Receivers don't want to come here, bruh. Julio Jones is still on the market. He's riddled with injuries. You can tell he has something left in the tank, but he ain't got that much. A broken down Julio Jones still hasn't been signed by the Ravens. And I doubt he will be. If it happens, it happens. Hey, take whatever you can. But I doubt Julio's going to come here. I doubt Julio's going to come here. I doubt T.Y. Hilton's going to come here. Receivers are avoiding us like the plague. Like the plague, my bad. But, yeah, they don't like this system at all. They are avoiding us like the plague. They are avoiding Greg Roman's system like the plague. They don't want to sit back and get all this criticism because, oh man, Lamar Jackson doesn't have a weapon. Imagine if a top tier guy comes here and all of a sudden he's just not getting the same looks he was getting in other areas. Do you know how much that's going to piss him off? Why would a top tier receiver want to come here to deal with that? The only way that would happen is if you force them to come here via trade. And Baltimore's already shown they're not willing to pull the trigger. You got guys getting traded left and right. Top tier guys getting traded for picks and value that Baltimore could have definitely matched. But they just don't. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you guys. Ravens flock, I'm sorry. The receivers don't want to come here. If you get drafted here, you're going to make it work. Again, I don't want to say it. I hope it doesn't happen. But I would not be shocked in a couple years if Bateman's like, yeah, I don't really want to be here anymore. I hope he works out. I hope he's that guy. I hope he takes off, and I hope he loves Baltimore. I really do. But if Greg Roman's here for the next several years, I would not be shocked if Bateman at some point was like, yeah, I just don't want to play in this system anymore. Would you be shocked? Would anybody be shocked? If you're a tight end, come to Baltimore. You'll fit in this system. If you're a running back, come to Baltimore. You'll fit in our offensive system. If you're an offensive lineman, we could definitely use you. We'd love the depth. If you're a fullback, hey, come join up with Patrick Ricard because we utilize our fullbacks here. But if you're a wide receiver, you're going to stay the hell away from Baltimore. You don't want to deal with that mess that is Greg Roman's system. And of course, people continue to defend the system because it brings numbers, you know? Oh, we're fourth in this, and we're fourth in yards, and we're sixth in... Bro, all those numbers mean nothing in the playoffs. Because when you got to make plays, and you got to make adjustments, what is those fourth in rushing or eighth in passing or whatever the hell is? What does that come to? What has that really brought us? You can talk about the numbers and the stats all day and all the yards we accumulate with Greg Roman's system. With the game on the line and you need the correct play call, you need the adjustments, what has Greg Roman done to show you that he can do it? During his time in Baltimore, what has he shown you in the playoffs that says, hey, he can do it? The one playoff game we've won in the Lamar Jackson era, that was because Lamar Jackson made the plays. You understand that? The touchdown we got was on a Lamar Jackson run. The other touchdown we got was on J.K. Dobbins' run. The two touchdowns we got were both on runs. One of it was legit Lamar on a scramble. So we're just utilizing Lamar's talent. It's not even the play calling. We're just utilizing Lamar's talent. and the talent we had at the run game because we had Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins at the time. It's not even great play calling, it's just utilizing your talent. How long is it going to take before Baltimore wakes up? You want to continue to utilize the talent? So be it. That and also, Marcus Peters picking off Ryan Tannehill to, pretty much get us that. But yeah, really, we closed out the game because of Lamar's ability to run. It's not great execution on the play calling. It was just Lamar being Lamar. When you've looked at the games where we could have used play calling, where we could have used adjustments, what has that garnered us? 12 points in the division round, 3 points in the division round the following year. I don't know what to tell you, man. Receivers don't want to deal with this nonsense. And I don't blame them. I really don't blame them. What receiver really wants to come to an organization where they're going to be playing in Greg Roman's system, where all you're going to be doing is blocking for a good chunk of the times, and you'll be lucky if you finish the game with 4 targets? Do you think top receivers want to deal with that? What's worse is they don't want to deal with a situation where the quarterback feels that the receiver's not happy, so he has to force feed him the ball. Because now, if that doesn't end up leading to winning, people are going to be like, Lamar's got to stop force feeding him the ball. You keep force feeding him to this. He's not doing this. You can't keep getting it to this guy. And if that receiver's not exactly putting up the production because all these passes are coming to him and they're contested, and all of a sudden the system's not really working because Greg Roman's offensive scheme is very anemic and it's very basic, and several people have called it out. Both people that were on this team, former teammates, and people in the media, like a Steve Smith Sr., like a Kurt Warner, that went on not national television. It wasn't even live. It was national television. Actually, it was live. It was live. It was on national television, live, where he broke down this man's schemes and showed you how predictable it was. So the media's called it out. Former players have called it out. Players that were on this team called it out. Hell, your quarterback called it out and said people were calling out our plays. But no, Greg Roman's system's perfectly fine. And you think receivers want to come deal with that nonsense? And they want to come to a franchise that has been consistent in not really caring for their receiving position. Yeah, good luck with that. I'm sorry to say, Ravens flock. If the Ravens end up getting a big-time receiver, it would have to be via trade, and somehow somebody would be willing to do that. And maybe Baltimore pulls that trigger, but again, I doubt it, because if you get a big-time receiver in Baltimore, you're going to have to pay him that type of money. And Baltimore's not going to do that. They'll pay that type of money for a defensive player. They're not doing that for a receiver. Offensive lineman, we got you. Tight end, we got you. Fullback, we got you. Running back, we've got you. Receiver, Baltimore doesn't care about you. They don't. They don't. In fact, I believe there was another trade that happened recently, a little later on, happened like, a couple hours later, that the Ravens could have made an attempt to get on a receiver. I don't exactly know the name of it, but I believe he got traded to the Raiders, or the Raiders did trade. Either way, there was another opportunity to get a receiver, and yeah, Baltimore did not pounce on that. I'm not going to look it up now, but they had a chance to get somebody, and still haven't done it. Still going throughout free agency. Still haven't gotten a receiver. Will they get one? I believe they will. I don't think Baltimore's going to they're not going to go into the season without picking up a free agent receiver. But is it going to be one that's really going to make a huge impact? Probably not. I don't see a receiver coming via trade. You're going to probably pick up one of the lower end free agents that's going to sign for like a minimum deal. That's probably, I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. That's really all I got to say, man. I'm sorry. I have to keep it real here. This is the reality of the situation, man. The Ravens don't really value the receiving position. They've never valued the receiving position. And as long as Greg Roman's here, they're definitely not going to value the receiving position. So it makes sense why receivers are avoiding the Ravens like the plague. They don't want to be here. They don't want to play in that system, which is very sad and it's very glaring considering the fact that you have an MVP quarterback. It's not like Flacco's on the side. You have an MVP quarterback, and receivers don't want to come and play here because they don't want to play in that system. The sad part is people are going to look at it and say, well, they don't want to play with Lamar. And the people that already think he can't throw and call him a running back, this just adds more fuel to the fire. Because they're like, well, he's an MVP quarterback, but no receiver wants to play with him. So I don't know what to tell you, man. It is what it is. Anyway, with that being said, that's all I got. We'll probably have to continue to talk about this as the Ravens search for their cheap receiver that they'll just bring here. That'll be somewhat productive, and we'll praise him as if he's a freaking Ravens legend. I don't know. It is what it is. Same old with the Ravens. With that being said, that is all I've got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.